Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wrestle Talk with Bear and BDuB. I'm your host BDuB, my co-host Bear, and this is the show where it's an emotional show. It's not, really a debate. It's not so much, it can be debated in some aspects. It's not so much a show in which, an opinion, but this will be probably one of our few shows that has a lot of facts. And that being the deaths in professional wrestling. Bear, just, kind of give a preview. When you hear some of your favorite wrestlers, or not so favorite wrestlers, die, like, what did that do to you growing up as a fan?
When I was younger, and I was emotionally attached the way I was to where, I was in front of the TV every night, or I was getting every pay-per-view and you hear about somebody, dying or however way they died. You kind of said that you was like, I can't believe this.
Right.
As I got older and you hear about wrestlers dying, it became more of a shock thing. Like, what? Are you serious? Things like that. But, in the span of 10 years, a lot of good wrestlers that people like you, myself, that we've watched growing up passed away. So, it's not somewhere, you sit and you cry about it, but you kind of look back and you seen them at their high points, their low points. You kind of feel like you was there with them, like
right.
You was a part of them. So, in that aspect, it's kind of sad. Do you blame it on the business? I don't know.
Yeah.
What's your opinion?
The thing is, everybody who knows me knows that, like, it's emotional attachment to professional wrestling, and it's different from the sports world because in baseball, basketball, football, they have off seasons, and during those off seasons, those players are kind of forget about. As you know, let's think about this. You got the Lakers. Everybody knows I'm a big Lakers fan. Shout out 2010 NBA champions a week ago. But everybody knows Kobe Bryant's my favorite player. But come the middle of the summer, I'm not thinking about my opinion as Kobe Bryant being the best basketball player in the NBA. When it comes to sports, I'm thinking about the Orioles or the Yankees or the Mariners or the Braves. And then once baseball season's over with, I'm thinking about football. The Ravens or the Dallas Cowboys. So, but with pro wrestling, it's all year round. From Royal Rumble to Armageddon or even Survivor Series. Given some of the wrestling circumstances, you may see such a Triple H, Randy Orton, 12 months a year. Everybody knows sometimes they get hurt, but it's kind of like you're constantly seeing them. So it's nothing like where they're forgotten. So it is an emotional attachment.
And you touched on it. You almost feel like you grow a bond with them. You become attached to them in certain ways. So there is an attachment.
Like I said, maybe sometimes you might cry about it, sometimes you might not. And then not so much cry meaning
I've seen people cry.
Yeah, boo-hoo tears. Yeah. But more so you'd be like, wow. Let's just think about it. It was just a year ago tomorrow that Michael Jackson died. And look how many people, look how many people, so many people commit suicide. About 5 people died over his death. You had people who just was like, emotionally distraught because of Michael Jackson dying. So it's like the same thing. And music is something else where you really don't take an off season from it. And not to get too much off the subject, but that's how it is with wrestling. You feel like, wow, you really become attached to them. You learn that, like, then you start to think about how they die. In our research, we found that 14 died of heart attacks.
15 died of heart attacks. Actually, it wasn't. It wasn't that many. Where 15, and it kind of it got me thinking. You know, they're on the road 365 days a year. God only knows what they're doing. I'm pretty sure. You know, they carouse. You know, drink whatever. They put their body through this tremendous toll, and you know, like you had mentioned, you know, 14, 15 died, you know, heart attacks, but only 3 died of natural causes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, tell me about it. You know,
I mean, you know, we all gonna die one day, but
it almost makes you think like, I'm pretty sure every fan, whether they admit it or not, every person who was a fan of a diehard fan of professional wrestling wanted to get in the business somehow, somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even if it was just like, man, I would love to do that. You know, whether it was for the fame or the ability to clothesline somebody, you wanted to get in the business someday. But then when you sit back and think about it, like, do I really want to put myself through something like that? You know. We're back on Wrestle Talk with Barry and BDuB on our Depths in Professional Wrestling episode. Okay, you know, so we talked about various ways that, you know, wrestlers have gone on. Now we're going to go into some of the heart failures, the cancers, you know. Some of you can blame because of the business, some of you can't, or their lifestyles. Yeah, take us there.
well, again, you know, I kind of wanted to hold this separately, even though people could say, well, you know, this person, they say he died of heart failure, but this could have been a catalyst to that. Didn't really want to do it that way. Right. I'll leave y'all to have y'all own opinions. That's why we have this show. Was it inboxes, messages, however you do that thing. But when you talk about heart failures, you know, one of the people that no one would ever think about is Ravishing Rick Rude. Because Ravishing Rick Rude was in such good shape.
Oh, yeah.
He was in phenomenal shape. You just did not see him die of heart failure. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to throw a little curveball in there. He was on drugs. The drug that he was on was called GHB, which is something that people use normally to go to sleep. I don't know if, you know, again, I ain't no doctor or nothing like that. It could be catalytic towards that, but since I was told and I have known that to be true, I'm sticking to that. He died of heart failure. Former Intercontinental Champion, former WCW World Champion, former WCCW World Heavyweight Champion. He was the United States Champion forever. Good worker, good entertainer. You hated to like him. That's the best way to describe it, Rude. You hated to like him.
You hated to like him?
Yeah.
It was love to hate him.
You hated to like him, love to hate him. Whatever.
Yeah.
I hated to like him.
Oh, yeah. You know, me,
I didn't love the guy.
When I watched him,
you were standing in the mirror.
well, see, he was a heel, you know, and that was during in the kayfabe era where I didn't like heels.
Oh, okay.
And so, I used to love seeing the Warrior pick him up and gorilla press slam him. But what I was able, you know, I enjoyed, and it wasn't on my top 15 list, but I enjoyed hearing the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 5. But as I got older and as I was able to appreciate the business of pro wrestling more, I was also able to understand that Ravishing Rick Rude carried the Ultimate Warrior in every single match. And you know, his wrestling skills were out of this world. You know, the neck breaker, he made it look like it hurt.
Yeah, it was 10 times better than the shake, rattle, and roll.
Yeah, you know, and it's just, you know, when I found,
no offense on top man.
When I found out he died, it was just like, wow.
Yeah, what was it, like 2-3 years after Kurt? It might not even been that long. He died right after Kurt died.
Yeah, and I don't even think it was that long.
Yeah, I don't even think it was that long. But yeah, Rick Rude, one of the true greats. Brian Pillman.
Flying Brian Pillman, one of my favorites.
One of his favorites.
Yeah, we share the same first name.
I respect him. He wasn't on like my top 10 list. I'm sure he could care less. You know, I liked him when he was a Hollywood Blonde.
Mm-hmm. But I liked him as the Four Horsemen, Hollywood Blonde.
You like this guy as a Four Horseman?
See,
he fit in the Four Horsemen like a square peg and the circle thingy.
But see, you know, he didn't fit as a horseman, but he was like somebody. I like watching one time when he got out of line, and he's like, "Cause a horseman and this, that, and that." And Arn slapped the mess out of him. I know you remember that.
Yeah, I remember that.
And see, you know, he was like that child. He was kind of something that kind of brought the energy. You know, he had the aggressiveness to be a horseman. He probably didn't have all their type of glamour, because he had glamour, but it's not their type of glamour. But you know, he was somebody that you could, you know, like I said, you were a fan, I'm sure, of the Four Horsemen that included Chris Benoit, Brian Pillman,
no, it wasn't.
Ric Flair, and Arn Anderson.
No, it wasn't. That version of the Four Horsemen was probably about as bad as Flair, Anderson, and Paul Roman.
Okay.
I mean, that sucked.
But
I will say this in respect to Brian Pillman. Had his career not taken a turn for the worse in the accident in the car, and him going to WWF, I guarantee you he would have been Royal Heavyweight Champion.
Oh, yeah, he had it all. He was like...
Vince would have made him Heavyweight Champion.
He was like a Randy Orton.
I wouldn't say a Randy Orton.
And when I say a Randy Orton, meaning he had, you know, he had the crowd behind his back, far as, you know.
But you gotta remember, he was a heel.
Right. But when I say he had him behind his back, you love to hate. Because, you know, you got people, sometimes you ever get the same feeling that people just don't want to see John Cena. You know, even as a face, he's booed. And it's not because they want to see him become a heel. It's just they just tired of seeing him because he's been forced on us. You feel me? But Pillman was the type of person, like I said, like Rick Rude, you love to hate him. And that's, to me, that's what's having a crowd behind their back. As I learned to appreciate the business more. Not so much having them cheer for you, but when you got them behind your back, that means you got them doing what you want them to do. And
I understand that. Like I said, I wasn't the biggest Brian Pillman fan. I respect him. I respect anybody that gets in the business, you know. But I do know for a fact, if Stone, I think that would have been one of their big angles. Had he not got hurt and Stone Cold had went on to become champion, he would have probably had them two go at it for the title. Shout outs to my man Stan Stasiak. Really, really good heel wrestler. As the WWF champion.
Much better than his son.
Oh yeah.
Sean's
Yeah.
Who's Meat?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, why would you want your name Meat? But
whatever.
Anyway. Again, throughout all these lists that we've been bringing to you all tonight, there's always been one name. One name that when we say it, it just
hits home.
Yeah. And when you talk about heart failures, yeah, we named Rick Rude, we named Brian Pillman. I'm sure there's a longer list of names of people that we didn't name, but at the top of that list, I loved him to death, and that's Eddie Guerrero. I loved him to death. And before you get into your story,
I'm
to get into my story, I was over a friend of mine's house, and she had a laptop, and I flipped it up, and I go to WWE.com, and I said, we lost a legend, and I'm looking at this Eddie Guerrero, and I'm like, okay, is this an angle? Because they had just, he was supposed to get a run with the World Heavyweight title from Batista.
Right.
And, I'm like, okay, is this some kind of angle they working here, or is this really happening? And I called everybody I could think about calling, no one knew about it. And then, you turn on Raw, and you see it, and everybody, they were out?
The 10, yeah.
Out by the thing there. And then you turn on SmackDown, and Batista drives the low rider out and puts the belt up there, so, yeah.
When Eddie died, I remember waking up. I woke up that morning, get ready to go to school, and my father came in, and he was like, "Brian," because that's how it was. It's always, and it will always be that way, just because anybody who knows me and they know that my love for professional wrestling. Mm-hmm. So whenever you hear somebody die, I'm always gonna get a phone call. It's just. Like we said, it's kind of like their family to us, because it's just a sport that we love. And when we heard about Eddie, my father couldn't call the name immediately. My mother said Eddie Guerrero. I'm like, what? I'm just waking up. I'm like, dang, what a way to start your morning, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, and I remember because, like you said, the angle. And as you said that, it reminds me when they was going into the angle about, how he used to do drugs and he cleaned himself up and this and that. And I was like, man, I don't believe Eddie Guerrero. It's like, cause he was, we lie, we cheat, we steal. I knew he was getting another reign at the belt, and you just couldn't wait because he was a man that just deserved it. I remember. When I first started noticing Eddie Guerrero, my first time watching him was World War 1995, World War III 1995, and that's when he was in the big 3-ring 60-man battle royal, and they was talking how he might I remember Bobby the Brain Heater, a guy like Eddie Guerrero could win the title tonight too, and then afterwards it was into the LWOs, and I remember Starrcade 98 when he came out there and told Kidman, no, I'm not even ready. And that's what Eddie could do. Eddie could sell you, he could write wolf tickets, sell wolf tickets as old people say, write checks that he couldn't cash, and that's what I loved about it.
Eddie was the man.
Yeah, without a doubt.
He was the man. He was terribly funny.
Yeah.
He was terribly funny. But yeah, that's our list from Hall of Famers. We even came across some wrestlers that's died of cancer. I ain't gonna really get too much into this list. It's a very short list, A lot of these people I knew off the top of my head, so I thought I'd mention them in here. Had a couple of wrestlers that's died from cancer. Earthquake, the Shark, doing that whole Dungeon of Doom era. He was known the Shark. But his name was Earthquake. If you don't remember none of that, and he was, he was more WWF than WCW. He was one of the oddities. Used to wear the tan mask and carry around that little South Park teddy bear.
He was in the oddities?
Mm-hmm.
I never knew that. I knew.
That's twice.
I knew.
Yeah, he was in the oddities. It was Kurgan, Luna. And then there was a big one. He used to carry around a stuffed animal.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah,
SummerSlam 2098. Let me check that out.
Yeah, but yeah, he was in there. He died of bladder cancer. One of the all-time great wrestlers. I don't care what nobody says. Big John Studd. He died of liver cancer. But the biggest name on this list is Dr. Death Steve Williams. That he was one of the real men. Dr. Death was, tragically he died of throat cancer. But shout out to all of them. that have went on. If we got time, I want to give honorable mention to a couple other wrestlers that we haven't talked about, and that's Junkyard Dog. He died in a car accident. Adrian Adonis, another one who died in a car accident. Bobo Brazil died of a stroke. You know, Ernie Ladd. You know, all these great guys have gone on home, and you know, didn't have time to really mention them and get into a lot about them, but you know, just to give a shout out. You know, a lot of those guys I idolized. You know,
Yeah.
It was good to see blacks and wrestlers. And Adrian Adonis, before there was a Goldust, it was Adrian Adonis. So had to mention them names. And if you don't mind, we're going to take a break. When we come back, you got to sit tight now, because when we come back, we're going to mention the biggest pro wrestling death in the past, what?
Probably
5-10 years. So,
excuse 15.
yeah.
15 years.
Yeah, so stay tuned. We'll be right back. I finally got the chance to do this, mama. We'll be right back with Wrestle Talk, Bear, BDuB.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Wrestle Talk with Bear and BDuB, as we are in the depths of professional wrestling episode. You know, we talked about different ways in which the wrestlers have been dying, and one thing we've noticed that near 11 of them have died between drugs and alcohol before the age of 65.
Yeah.
Bear, who you got for us?
This list could probably could run us all night long, but I tried to break it down again to a lot of the people that I felt like y'all would know upon hearing their name or their wrestling name. To my world class fans, one of this guy, man. Now. I get angry.
When he puts the pen down, ladies and gentlemen, you already know what's coming.
I get angry because this guy has so much talent. This guy was so awesome. If you ever see him wrestle, Gino Hernandez. And to the people that'll be watching this, I encourage you, when you get some free time, YouTube Gino Hernandez, look at some of his matches. This guy was awesome. Before I knew about Tully Blanchard, I knew about Gino Hernandez. Gino was just that good, and you know, he got in that, you know, and he was in that era where you had that black cloud that was just right there, DRUGS. You know, what could you do about it? You know, he got caught in it, couldn't shake the demon, and you know, Gino, you know, just the guy was just so talented.
Right.
Yeah. He died cocaine overdose. He actually swallowed the cocaine, which I don't think he's supposed to do that. I've never snorted cocaine, so I wouldn't know. But I don't think you're supposed to digest cocaine, and it killed him. But he was just a talent. He was one of them people that, you know, you saw him in this promotion over here, but you always would have wondered what would have happened if he was with the WWE.
Okay.
Gino was just that good.
Go through the list real quick.
Yeah, Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer. That's from my generation. A lot of people don't really remember the Mad Dog. He's the team with the Great Muda and Terry Funk. That whole feud they had with the Horsemen back then.
Jim Ross over here.
Yeah, the Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer. That was my man. You know, and Andrew Martin. Now a lot of y'all may say, who the blue hell is Andrew Martin? Well, I don't know what that means, but that's Test. Test, yeah, I don't know what he was thinking, but drugs, alcohol got him too. Bobby Duncan Jr. Bobby Duncan Jr.
Wasn't he? the
WCW.
WCW.
Late.
Was he one of them Express teams?
He was. He used to team with Mr. Perfect. I hate rap. Rap is crap.
Yo, I didn't know. I didn't know he died.
Are you plainly serious?
No, I'm dead serious.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, you know, a lot of these deaths get past you. I mean, you look at lists, and you know, when you see, it's just like when you're in school, teacher give you a paper, here, do it. You know, you look at it, okay, whatever. But then when you you might see a name, you know, but then when you start, you see when he just, excuse me, I'm shocked. You feel me?
I see.
I'm in shock because it's like, all right, you might look at something like, all right, you look at something, you look in the food category, then you see poison, okay, poison. Then he's like, then when you start poison in the food category, and he said Bobby Duncan Jr. I'm like, that name sounds familiar. You know, I know Bear gets carried away, folks, in the NWA, the World Class era, and the AWA eras. I mean, the man loves wrestling. He's a wrestling encyclopedia. But, and I just thought it was another NWA character, you know, because I will be the first to admit I have learned so much wrestling history in these past 2 months. But Bobby Duncan Jr.?
Bobby Duncan Jr., yeah. Cocaine overdose, I believe it was. Yeah, young guy, world of potential. I'm surprised I had you shot. I didn't really think I was going to have you shot. But that's what, and people don't get it twisted. These are just off the top. These are just for me watching wrestling and just hearing certain things, you know, through various, I don't know what you want to call them, you know, circles of wrestling that I've been around, you know, Pitbull #2 for you ECW fanatics, he's passed on. What about Chris Kanyon?
Oh my gosh, you know, oh boy.
Chris Kanyon.
You know, definitely like...
That guy had skills.
Yeah.
Who better than Kanyon?
I mean, it was nothing like... During that whole Invasion era, I'm not gonna say I was the biggest fan of it. I didn't like the way it was done. Me personally would have rather seen them kept 2 separate shows and have them running in and out of each other's show. But when Kanyon, he really, even though, you know, DDP was the enemy, you know, that's kind of like one of the things is, alright, you beefing with Bear, you beefing with BDuB, and I'm gonna stand, I don't care how big the dog is in the yard.
He's talking to you round table people.
You know, and Kanyon, oh my goodness, the flatliner, you know, had it better than when Edge was doing it, you know.
I mean, I don't think, for the people who don't know who Chris Kanyon was, you go back to WCW, he was kind of like that Mortal Kombat character. His name was, well, he was. His name was Mortis. You know, Glacier was like Sub-Zero, and his name was Mortis. He laughing. It's
the truth, though.
His name was Mortis.
Glacier was Sub-Zero.
Yeah, and Chris Kanyon, when he got out of that gimmick, he really took off after he got out that Mortis gimmick. You know, part of the Jersey Triad. I think it was a part of the Jersey Triad with DDP and Bam Bam.
Yeah, I remember that.
Wow. Going over to WWE, where he's a tag champ, US champion. I remember talking to somebody, and we was talking about Chris Kanyon. And when he said he died, I was like, really? When did he die? He was like, well, it was a couple months ago. And then I said, well, how did he die? And they said he committed suicide. And the reason why he committed suicide, if I told you, you wouldn't believe it. You know, and just because he felt like no one recognized his talent. And to take your life because you allow someone to get into your mind like that, it's sad. But Chris Kanyon he was so innovative with a lot of moves. That's what really made him stand out.
Yeah.
And besides, he had the funniest build. You know, his shoulders were way up here, and he would walk like this. And who's better than Kanyon?
I mean, you know, he's definitely somebody who, you know, could definitely sold both sides of kayfabe.
Kayfabe.
Get being a good guy or a bad guy. You know, I mean, I enjoyed watching him personally. I always did. You know, I was a big fan of him. I was a big fan of DDP. You know, so when it was just one of those deaths that just slipped past you, and that's what happens a lot of times in wrestling. You know.
Mortis. That's his name. Wrath and Mortis. That was his name. But of course, you know, drugs, alcohol, partying, you know. Miss Elizabeth.
Oh boy.
Who saw that coming? To be with that jerk, Lex Luger, alcohol and mixing drugs, and she does. I think the one on my list that hurts me the most was Kurt Hennig.
Oh.
Kurt Hennig, and to find out it was cocaine that did it.
Yeah.
It hurt because I was a Mr. Perfect fan.
Exactly.
I was a Mr. Perfect fan. That's the reason.
I mean, you know, I got his theme music on my iPod.
I was a Mr. Perfect
I
fan.
was a perfect fan.
Yeah.
Since seeing, you know, what was it? Remember when he threw the basketball behind and made the shot? Tell me you didn't go outside and try to do that.
I tried everything.
I know it. Home runs.
The only one I could do, this is no lie, I remember when he was up there with Randall Cunningham and he threw the ball and he goes running after it himself and he catches it. I could do that before I started smoking Newports. You ain't gonna catch me doing that now.
Well, maybe you put the Newports down. But you know, that hurt, like you said, because, alright, first of all, if you remember, before he died, he got fired because he got into it with Brock Lesnar on the plane while they were traveling. I didn't like Brock Lesnar for maybe a few months after, because I was like, yo, I wanted to see Perfect get the push, which I knew he wouldn't, because of the fact that he was, first of all, he was old. His role was to come in and kind of be a mentor to the, you know, the upcoming Edges and John Cena's, you know, it was kind of to be a mentor to them in the back. So when Perfect came in, I was like, you know, all right, I'm glad to see he's back, you know, but when he got fired, I was ticked. Like, no, why would you fire Mr. Perfect? You know, and, you know, I mean, because, all right, you know, all the great matches, SummerSlam, him and Texas Tornado, or him and Bret the Hitman Hart, probably another great, I mean, Perfect was probably one of the best Intercontinental Champions, even though he had 2 reigns. You know, let's not forget, you don't measure a man by his amount of championships or the amount of reigns he had, but you measure how he used his reign. You know, Perfect.
Unless you're talking about Ric Flair.
Well, Ric Flair had great reigns many times. Woo! But, you know, and that was a great combination. Putting Perfect and Flair together, that was an excellent combination.
For anyone that's been paying attention, not to cut you off, but for anyone that's been paying attention, I just named the tag team on there. Kurt Hennig and Bobby Duncan Jr.
Yeah.
You know, but this list continues. It goes on and on. I got Sensational Sherry on here.
You know, and before you go on, because, you know, the touch on her and Miss Elizabeth, you know, those were the 2 women that I grew up watching. And if you think about it, like, wow.
They were divas before the word divas were even used.
Exactly, you know, I mean, you think about, like, you know, because before, you know, you always had the women wrestlers, you know. You had, but they weren't really nothing to look at. Not saying Sherry was beautiful, but she was sexy.
She was hot.
No, I said beautiful. She was, you could be hot.
That's true.
You know, but not saying Miss Elizabeth was beautiful. She was picture perfect.
She was classy.
That's what it is.
She was classy.
That's what made her beautiful.
Yeah.
Sherry was, she was sexy, but she was, you know, and I liked the role with her and Shawn Michaels.
I figured you would say that.
That's what, like, all right,
I kind of liked her better with $1 Million Man.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you that, and I also liked her as
Harlem Heat.
Yeah, that too, and Sensation, the Queen, you know.
I like her outfits.
Okay.
Was that one that she wore WrestleMania 7? And she bent over and they got that shot. I was like, man.
But you know, it was when like I said, those were the two I tried first. Not just saying the other ones weren't attractive, but they weren't sold on their looks. Those two were sold, the first two, like you said, divas, that were sold on their looks that didn't take off their clothes, with the exception of Miss Elizabeth at SummerSlam. But it's like, man, you really sit back, and when we do this show, as we're doing this show, and you think about how many people we looked up to, grew up on watching TV, that's gone away from us,
Yeah, I mean, to put it all in perspective, folks, WrestleMania 6, I talked about it earlier, the mixed tag match.
Yeah.
Every woman involved in that match is good.
Dang. You're right.
Seriously, think about it. Sapphire, Miss Elizabeth, and Sensational Charlotte. Both good.
We're going to get into our list here. Now, like we mentioned, 14 people died from heart attacks. You elaborate on that.
Just to name a couple people off this list. First off, I want to start off by saying that, Russell Talk Band, BDuB, we only bringing people to you that we feel like if we name them, you'll know them. I'm sure that out of this list, there's probably another 50, 60 more that have probably died in this span, but we wanted just to come across the ones that, if we name them, oh yeah, I know this person, or, if we give you their, I don't know, wrestling name or their entertainment name, you'll know who that person is, so, yeah. Say, what is it?
Kayfabe.
Kayfabe. Yeah, I see that word all the time. I'm like, kafabi. So, with that being said, I'm gonna go into this list right here. People that died of heart attacks. We got a guy by the name of Jay Youngblood. He was a tag team partner for Ricky Steamboat. Years tag team champions. The next guy I'm gonna mention is a guy you might remember him from the NWA. Real popular back then. Used to team with Sting, named Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. He died of a heart attack. Probably the most recent person to die in wrestling, and that's Umaga. Who saw that coming? But,
Was he just released not too long
ago? Yeah, he was just released. The British Bulldog. Bam Bam Bigelow. Terry Gordy. Everybody knows about Andre the Giant. Road Warrior Hawk. And if you wrestling fans seen WrestleMania 6, Dusty Rhodes was in a mixed tag team match with Sweet Sapphire. Even she died of a heart attack. So, that's just a couple off of this list that I've named of really good performers in that span that's the way from heart attack.
It's funny because you mentioned Andre the Giant, and from a personal standpoint, I'm pretty sure it was wrestlers that died around the time. Andre died in 92, I believe. It was 92, 93.
Somewhere in the early 90s.
And his was the first, from, like I said, personal standpoint, because Andre died, I was about 6 or 7 years old. And his was the first wrestling death that I had kind of understood. And I was like, wow, it's just, dang, I was just a couple years ago looking at him on WrestleMania 6, and then to see him go down. But Now, it's ruled a heart attack, but didn't he have like a growing disease?
Yeah, I don't know the scientific word for it, but you know, I believe it was A&E. I think it was A&E.
I believe so, yeah.
They did a documentary on him.
Okay.
Where they talked about him and his weight and his height and all these things. And a lot of people don't know this, but Andre knew he was going to die 20 years before it actually happened.
Oh, yeah?
He just didn't know when it was going to happen. And, you know, the way it happened, he went to his father's funeral and he went to go lay down and never woke back up.
Mm.
And like you, that was the first big name that I heard.
Yeah.
You know, that had passed away. So, but for what he did for wrestling and sports entertainment, if you want to combine the two, can't be ignored.
Yeah, 15 years.
15 years he went undefeated.
Yeah.
15 years he went undefeated, never losing a match. And that's a record that'll probably stand forever.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Forever. So
you know, whether you want to say predetermined, written in the script, or just natural
yeah.
ability,
yeah.
I can't see nobody.
Andre was one of the best. The younger Andre, I mean, I've seen Andre the Giant do a leapfrog.
Okay.
I've seen him do a drop kick. This is when he was still mobile. You know, a lot
Right.
of people remember Andre, you know, sluggish and he could barely throw a kick.
Yeah.
But to you people out there watching, go into the archives, pull out some of that stuff of Andre in the early 70s and things like that, and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. You know, another guy, the British Bulldog, you know. To me, that was like, wow. Because, you know, here, Owen had just died 3 to 4 years prior. And that's, you know, everybody knows the Hart Foundation is always my favorite family of wrestling. And to see, like, man, you know, because I was hoping that he was going to get that push, but by then that whole second comeback was just, it wasn't, you know, when he wore the jeans, I wasn't really too much of a fan of him trying to fight The Rock and whatnot. But I wanted to see, when I was young, I wanted to see the British Bulldog become the heavyweight champion of the world. Because pound for pound, he was great. You know, a lot of people might not remember a tag team. I remember when him and Lex Luger formed the Allied Powers.
Right.
You know, and that was just like, wow. Two powerful beings, you know. We did a tag team show last. They could have been, if they would have stayed together, they could have easily been one of the top 10.
On your list.
You look at the way I mean, come on now.
On your list.
Yeah, on my list. Yeah. I mean, you had Bulldog and Owen.
Yeah, but that was a better tag team. Man.
But if you don't think that, you must not have been a fan of Luger.
No.
Okay, I knew it was one of them. I knew it. I mean, but you know, back to the subject, Bulldog, you know, he was just a great wrestler. Pound for pound strength, you know.
I
probably the best Intercontinental title match ever, him and Brett. SummerSlam 92, Wembley Stadium.
I agree with you, but I think, and I'm glad you put it that way, because yes, he was a great performer. You know, you put Bulldog in the ring with anybody, he was always capable of having a good match. But I think what a lot of people didn't know, and it was probably one of the things that catalyzed the heart attack that brought on his death, was he put a lot of abuse on his body.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you going in the ring, like I said, 365, and you're doing this year round, and you're holding a 250-pound guy over your head, or you're holding him up in a suplex every night.
Yeah, oh.
That's going to kill your back. And you know, Bulldog was addicted to morphine.
Yeah.
You know, things of this nature. So,
and like you said, excuse me to cut you off, but Bulldog didn't, you know, like you said, you can. Everybody knows I could suplex you if you go with me. Bulldog held these guys, and you know, you can only hold yourself in the air for so long. Bulldog held these guys with a suplex. He had the, you know, for night in and night out, and he held them with the gorilla press. You know, so you're right. I mean, he did do some damage to his body, but you know, one thing I liked about the Bulldog was he could win you over either way in his prime. I mean, I'm talking about dreadlocks, braids Bulldog, not regular Bulldog, but dreadlocks, braids Bulldog. You either loved him to death or you hated him. He could do that. You know, unlike a lot of wrestlers today can't make you feel that way about it.
Yeah, Bulldog was one of. He was a good wrestler, and you know when I heard that Bulldog passed, it was like, what, really? You know, because he was so young.
Mm-hmm.
But as we get into detail about this show, you'll hear a lot of people that was younger than Bulldog that passed away. But another name that when I heard that died, I was just shocked because he kind of just fell off the radar, and that was the Big Boss Man.
Oh yeah.
Who didn't like the Big Boss Man?
Right.
You know, Big Boss Man. Who didn't like his character? Let me put it that way.
Yeah. You know what I liked about him too? He was another one that could draw heat. Even when he made his second comeback, when he was in the all black, you know, he made you hate him. Because, I mean, I know everybody hated him when he supposed to have chopped up Al Snow's dog. For all you animal lovers out there, I know you didn't like that. And you hated the Big Boss Man. Or what he did to the Big Show. When Big Show became, just before Big Show became the WWE champion.
Oh, with his father.
Yeah, you know, Boss Man, he could draw some heat. You know,
that's why I said, you know, it was his character. Everybody like Boss Man's character. Yeah, you know, like Bulldog, we can say, you know, he was athletic, you know, he was strong, whatever. You can go to many different avenues with the Bulldog, but when you talk about Boss Man, you talk about his character.
Yeah.
He had that character, you know, law and order, twirling the nightstick. And then as a heel, he would beat the crap out of you with the nightstick. So him passing away, probably, you know, another recognizable name that we've actually talked about him on, you know, different shows, and that's Road Warrior Hawk.
Oh yeah.
Road Warrior Hawk, you know. And I'm not going to so much get into his wrestling career because his wrestling career speaks for itself. I kind of want to talk about what he did after his wrestling career, because you know how you got like certain wrestlers, they become saved, get religious, and they go around touring. Well, Road Warrior Hawk got involved in that,
right? And
he was doing that for a while, and you know, I encourage anybody who hasn't seen the Road Warriors DVD to go watch it. It's a very good DVD.
I just watched it last night, and I felt it kind of interesting how, like Andre, he knew he was going to die, and you know, for a man to sit up there and kind of like, you know, not to go into religion, but to prepare his family.
Yeah, well, yeah.
He moved all the heavy stuff out the house so that his wife wouldn't have to deal with that, you know. And like you said, it was funny because they said when he died, he was clean.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
toxicology report came back and had nothing else. I didn't like the way WWE used them towards the end there, but I can understand what they were doing. They were getting people to say, you know, hey, you know, this is what you indulge in. You know, this could be what could happen to you. You could, you know, lose everything. But Hawk was one of my favorite wrestlers. I'll never forget Hawk.
Right.
Because I was a big Legion of Doom fan. So, yeah, I can't remember Animal and I remember Hawk. And like I was saying to anybody out there who hasn't seen that DVD, go get that DVD. That DVD was a very, very, very good DVD. Actually, I actually had 2 copies of it. That's how good it was.
Wow.
For real. That's how good it was. But those are just a couple of the people, you know. Like I said, there's others, but we wanted to kind of just throw some at y'all that y'all would be familiar with. None of y'all know who Pez Watley is. That's for my generation of wrestlers. I tell you what. For anybody who has the 4 Horsemen DVD, when you go to their matches, Ole Anderson, Arn Anderson, and Ric Flair on a 6-man tag against the Italian Stallion, some other jobber, and Pez Whatley. Pez Whatley was this short little black guy, real stocky, but he used to always lose. So, and the reason why I know him is because, you know, me and my father and my friends that I was close to at that time that used to watch wrestling with us, we would always joke about him and things like that. But, you know, just a couple names off this list of, you know, wrestlers that we thought you might be familiar with. And a lot of them were good wrestlers, classic matches, and more to say about that list, folks.
Yeah, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we'll be back after these messages. To Wrestle Talk with Bear and BDuB now on our show Depths in Professional Wrestling. We're going to touch on this is, you know, a depth that just makes you think what could have been, what should have been. Why is one of the biggest questions you ask. Why? And that's suicides and murders. And in one case, murder-suicide. We're going to start on the suicide segment first.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the family. That should already let you know what I'm going to talk about right there if you are a wrestling fan.
Wow, the family.
The family. That's about the name. This is just a sad scenario because they were all talented wrestlers, and I can't even imagine being the matriarch or the patriarch of that family. For those that don't know what that is, that's the mom and dad. I can't imagine being them and having your children commit suicide.
Right. And not just one.
Not one.
You know,
three of them commit suicide.
You know, you being a father, it makes you think, you know, where would I go wrong? Where did I go wrong as a parent?
By now, if you don't know who we're talking about the Atkinson family. I got tongue-tied. But their stage names or gimmick names was the Von Erichs. Fritz was this larger-than-life professional wrestler who, once he got out of the ring, started his own territory. World-class championship wrestling was born, and he marketed his children as stars, you know. Go out and get the DVD. Watch the DVD. The DVD, you will watch that DVD as if you're watching your favorite show on television because it goes in depth. I can't really go in depth because can I go in depth?
Go in depth.
He said I can go. The host said I can go in depth.
Yeah, you co-host. We co-hosted.
But to see this DVD and understand what this DVD was about, the title says it all. The triumph and tragedy of world-class championship wrestling. You know, Fritz Von Erich had all these boys. And a lot of people don't know that he had a son that didn't wrestle. And he was a junior, but he got electrocuted.
Wow.
He got electrocuted when he was a kid. So everybody, wrestling fans or whatever you call yourself, wrestling historians, whatever, you know.
Gurus.
Yeah. You know about Kevin, Kerry, David, Mike, and Chris. Well, we all know how David died. David went over to Japan. He had an abrasion or a cut in his intestines, and, you know, he wound up laying down, regurgitating on his vomit, basically choked on his vomit until he died. But, you know, after that, I think that did something to a lot of their psyches. Mike shot himself, and Mike never lost a match. Mike never lost a match, but Mike he felt like he couldn't live up to that Von Erich name. Chris, he committed suicide. Excuse me, because he couldn't take the bumps in the ring, and he wanted to be, you know, that Von Erich like Kevin and Kerry and David was, but he couldn't take the bumps, you know, and that took its toll on him and Kerry. Kerry's the famous one out of all, because Kerry was actually on TV. He shot himself with a gun that he bought his father. He shot himself, and I remember that being on the news. It used to be a Entertainment Tonight kind of show called A Current Affair. Okay. I remember that being on there. Kerry, he was larger than life. Kerry, you know what? Kerry was that kind of wrestler, and you really don't see it no more. You really don't. Kerry was that kind of wrestler that when you saw him, you instantly liked him. Yeah. From the way he walked, to the way he talked, and the way he moved, and everything about what's it called? That it. There's no name for it, but you look at someone like, hey, Bear's got it.
You know what they say in this generation? That swagger.
Yeah, well,
that's a stupid word, but whatever.
Kerry Von Erich had that swagger. He, you know, I've seen a lot of good matches with Kerry Von Erich. You know, Perfect. Yeah. Jerry Lawler. You know, Harley Race. You know, Ric Flair.
I wish, you know,
Rick Rude.
He's one of them wrestlers. Like I said, there's a lot of wrestlers on this list. Half and half. As I remember watching a lot of their matches and a lot of them didn't. Kerry Von Erich is one of them wrestlers that I wish I didn't have to go on YouTube to see all his matches. I wish it was a lot more footage. Far as, you know, I wish he would have had some WrestleMania moments, more SummerSlam moments. I wish he would have been, you know, because he probably would have been as much as my favorite wrestler as Bret Hart and Hulk Hogan.
Well, I tell you what you do, and I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm going to say the same thing for you people out there. If by chance you do not know him as Kerry Von Erich, when you're sitting there and you're in front of your little YouTube screen, type in the Texas Tornado. You'll see him. He's at WrestleMania 7.
Yeah, you're right. I said,
He's at SummerSlam. He's involved in Survivor Series. So, you know, just the other day I saw a match with him fighting The Undertaker. So, you know.
I remember the late great Gorilla Monsoon say, you know, we got a Texas Tornado in here. You know, it was just, I often said that I wish I could have seen more matches of him, you know, and I wish I could have had more moments where I remember sitting down watching those matches, I should say. Because, you know, it's one thing we can go on YouTube, but it's nothing like when you can actually sit back and remember. When when Undertaker retired Shawn Michaels, I remember where I was. You know, when Hulk Hogan beat Ric Flair, become WCW champion, I remember where I was.
You know? I know where I was. I was asleep.
Yeah, why? Because you just knew Flair was going to lose, so you ain't going to watch it.
Right.
So, you know, it's just, I wish I could have had that same moment.
Sure.
You know.
But, yeah, the Von Erichs, just a tragedy. Your favorite wrestler, Ludwig Borga.
Ludwig Borga.
Your favorite wrestler.
What was they? The Un-Americans. Un-Americans. Survivor Series 92. Was it? 93?
I don't remember, but yeah.
It was 93. It was the Lex Luger. No, 94. Because the Lex Luger era.
Yeah.
And he went against Yokozuna. I mean, him and Yokozuna tag team along with the Boston Booger.
No.
Well, that might be a different match. It was somebody else against Lex Luger. The Steiner brothers. Was it The Undertaker?
No, I don't remember.
I need to go out, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be the first to admit, I need to go out and get them Survivor Series DVDs. One of the greatest pay-per-views before they
did it was the Quebecers a part of that team.
Yeah, it would make sense. They were Un-American.
French, right.
Yeah.
And they was beefing with the Steiners.
Right.
But I could be wrong. I'm not sure.
That makes a lot of sense. It's Ludwig Borger and Yokozuna. So you got that four. Then you got, I want to say it was The Undertaker.
It might have been.
It was The Undertaker, yeah.
Been.
I remember him coming out, you know, it was The Undertaker.
It might have been. But in keeping going with this list, yes, rest in peace, Ludwig Borger.
Hey, now you say Hellraiser, that's funny because he made you think that he was just straight from the depths of hell. Like, he used to say all the type of stuff. And I, you know, for those who know, me and my younger sister, we grew up watching wrestling together. She was a type of fan that would watch it because I was watching it. And she would be like, why that guy don't like America? You know? He came out, it was in Vince McMahon when he was doing that announcement, say, yeah, the guy who just hates the country. And I would think, well, leave then. You know, because that's what it did. You know, I mean, that was just my opinion. Well, leave that. You know, but whatever. Go ahead. Well, why you laughing?
And keeping with the you know, these people that we think that you should be familiar with.
Crash Holly.
Suicide, Crash Holly.
This one, I remember I was sitting there, shout out to my man Brandon Harley, because we used to sit back in high school at the halls of Baltimore City College in class 2004. And when Crash Holly died, I think we took a year to research this. How in the world, what happened to Crash?
I've heard, now, don't get me wrong. I have heard that it was either sleep apnea or suicide. I believe it was suicide.
Okay.
Because it was drug related.
Okay.
So he could have overdosed.
But this is the thing.
It's not fact.
Yeah.
If you want to do the research yourself, you're more than welcome.
And inbox us. Hit us on my email address, that is bearandbdub@gmail.com.
In wrestling, that's called a cheap pop.
Bet you roundtable guys didn't know that. But you know, back to Crash Holly real quick. He was, you know, he had you loving the 24/7. When he got up there, and that's, yeah, he was like Ric Flair, writing checks that his behind couldn't cash sometimes. You know, when in Flair's heel days, can I say that? You know, so it was just like with Crash Holly, that whole, right, and he did it, you know, WrestleMania, he had, leading up to WrestleMania 16, because I don't like the word 2000, and he sat up there, right, all over the place, you know, every time he goes to lay down, bam, he get hit. He defended it though, you know, he was a man stuck by his word. And, you know, and they implemented it in WrestleMania 18, because that belt, he lost the belt during the match, and then the belt was lost, like, the title changed hands like 3 or 4 times, and then he ended up at the end of the night getting the belt back. But it was interesting because it was a great way for in between matches, for pay-per-views especially, for them to keep the fans' attention. Rest in peace, Crash.
Yeah, rest in peace, Crash. The next person I want to talk about, he was, to me, not to take nothing away from his career, because I really didn't know much about his career, but he was a flash in the pan. I mean that in the humblest ways, because he came out of nowhere. Nobody ever knew this guy. And if there is anyone that got footage on him before his WCW run, I would love to see it, inbox it, I'll look at it. But anyway, during that whole, Hulkamania, running wild era down in WCW, this guy was brought in to be a microwave heated version of the Ultimate Warrior. And I'm talking about the Renegade.
It's so funny you mention that, because my mind goes back the first time I saw him. You probably don't even know this.
Bash at the Beach?
No. It was, it wasn't a pay-per-view. Was that the way they brought him in?
I thought it was either the Great American Bash or Bash at the Beach.
I didn't remember. It might have been a pay-per-view.
Yeah, it was, because I remember there was this big build-up to him. It was this big build-up, like, who
That's
was
what
this
I'm
guy?
thinking about, the build-up.
Yeah.
But check this out. You might find this very interesting. I remember that day. It was a Sunday afternoon, right? And your sister, shout out to my little cousin, Jessica Watkins. She was over the house, right? So me, her, and my sister Megan watching WCW main event used to come on Sundays, 6:05 p.m. We sitting there, we're sitting there watching it, right? And I'm seeing this guy come out. Who in the world is that? Did the Ultimate Warrior go to WCW? I'm asking both of them because back then the whole family was in the wrestling. Right. So Megan goes, "Nah, I don't think that's the Ultimate Warrior." Jesse goes, "Yo, that is Ultimate Warrior. Look at it, that is Ultimate Warrior." And it was just like they zoom in on the face. Nah, and that's exactly what he was. You said it, but a microwave heated version of the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, and he really didn't have a long tenure there.
And then it was just like you said. Next thing I know, he was dead.
He was dead. Committed suicide. Another name for you ECW fanatics out there. I can't leave this guy out because this guy was just simply awesome. And I'm talking about Mike Awesome, not The Miz. Mike Awesome. Mike Awesome. That was a bad mother.
Shut your mouth.
I'm only talking about Mike Awesome, former ECW World Heavyweight Champion. That dude was bad.
Yeah.
He was a bad dude. And one of my favorite divas of all time, former women's champion, Bertha Faye.
What is wrong with you?
What's your name?
Bertha Faye? Now, I mean, I've seen your girlfriend, and she's not a big woman.
Your girlfriend is hot.
That's what I'm saying. She's not a big woman, but first Sweet Sapphire, and now Bertha Faye?
I do not have a thing for big women.
Okay, I'm just...
No, I don't have a thing for big women.
I mean, if there's nothing wrong with it.
Bertha Faye was entertaining. And I used to like Bertha Faye. She was entertaining.
Yeah.
And she used to have, the Bertha Faye song and,
I remember when she beat Alundra Blaze for the WWB women's title. Right. I was,
the WWE?
WWB.
Right.
When she beat her for the women's title, I was mad. That's the thing I loved about wrestling back then, because you used to get mad doing certain title changes, go to sleep angry, go to school.
Mad. That was Bertha Faye.
But I loved Alundra Blaze.
But we're talking about Bertha Faye because she was managed by Harvey Woodward.
Oh, that was a great run. I liked the whole.
Right.
Unfortunately, I remember her music because
Bertha Faye.
I have all the CDs. That's on the anthology, the disc one. And I was like, oh gosh. But it was a classic. When you sit back, when you listen to it, it just takes you back. And I didn't know she committed suicide though.
Yeah, she committed suicide.
Why?
Committed suicide. She wasn't married, no children. Just
Bertha, may you rest in peace. All you had to do was find Bear.
In any event. I'll tombstone him after the show is over.
Yeah, alright.
The next name. And everybody on this list that I've named, this name is probably the most famous name of all because I can remember. Now you've been giving your little history. I'm going to give my little history.
Okay.
I actually walked into a bar.
Okay.
No, I wasn't getting nothing to drink. I was getting a soda.
Okay.
I actually walked into a bar and I was looking on the television and they were showing wrestling, and in the corner it said "In memory of Chris Benoit," and I was like, what? And I flipped my phone up and I called my homeboy, my brother in arms, and I'm like, are you looking at wrestling? He's like, yeah, Chris Benoit died. Okay, so I'm mad, I'm alright, I know I ain't drunk, but that's how I was. I could not believe Chris Benoit died.
Right.
Then when you found out how he died, it was like,
that was the thing.
But yeah, that's what got it going.
Let me give you my intake. It was, how the weather has been around, and it's funny because, if I'm not mistaken, it was around, Monday would have been the actual date.
Really?
Not the date per se, but the Monday of it, because it was in June, right? It was after that pay-per-view. What was it? Extreme Rules. It was the ECW where the day he was supposed to become ECW champion, and you figure last Sunday was a pay-per-view, Fatal 4-Way.
That might be true. That might be true.
You know, and I'm sitting there. It was hot that day. Like I just got off of work.
Told you I went to get a soda.
And it was. I mean, it was hot, and I'm sitting up there, and me and my mother, we sitting there, you know, like we do, talking, having regular conversation. I'm on the computer, and this is when MySpace was hot back then, you know, and a little bit of Facebook, and next thing I know, I get a phone call, and it's from one of my homeboys at work, and he doesn't watch wrestling. I used to get made fun of all the time for watching wrestling, you know, and as I'm sitting there, I'm looking like, or he said, hey, what's going on? I said, yo, what's up? What's going on? He's like, you know Chris Benoit died? I said, what? He had informed me that his fiance, who was a wrestling fan, had told him. So I get on WWE.com, and it's just like, you know, investigations are still pending. And I'm like, wow, you know. So I'm like, I can't wait for Raw tonight. Mm-hmm. I believe Raw was due for a 3-hour. It was due for a 3-hour special that evening. I might be wrong.
I think it was. I know it was going to have some kind of thing about. I remember it was going to be about Vince McMahon's death.
Bingo.
Yeah, I know it had something to do with that, but they scratched that when they found out that.
And you know, like you said, when you found out how he died.
Yeah, when you found out how he died, when it was a murder-suicide, that tainted everything. Yeah. In my opinion, and I could be wrong, maybe this could be a discussion that we can have on the show later on down the line. He could probably fall in that category of good wrestlers, not in the Hall of Fame. Maybe, but it was a murder-suicide. And while we're at it, while we're on this subject, let's just go ahead and jump into murders.
Okay.
Because I have a couple wrestlers that I know that were murdered. And since we're talking about Chris Benoit, we just said it was a murder-suicide. You ultimately think about his wife at the time. Nancy Benoit, known as Woman.
Oh, man, yeah, that was crazy.
And I'll tell you something. If I don't know if it's true, I think it's kind of tacky. It's in a sense kind of funny, but I really hope he didn't put his son in a cripple crossface and kill him.
Yeah.
That you know, me having a 2-year-old that I love and I'm expecting my second child in November, I can't see that being done. And in my pop, God rest his soul, he used to wrestle with us down in the basement, and you know, things like that weren't heard of back then. Yeah. Wow, what do you get out of putting a 2-year-old in a cripple crossface?
But see, then that goes into that void rage.
So you think it was steroids?
I honestly believe, you know, you let me hold the book. Shout out to the gentleman who wrote Ring of Hell. If you haven't read that book, ladies and gentlemen, please check it out. It will blow your mind. Or as bears say, it will tear you up. I'm reading that book, and just like you told me I would do, a lot of parts I'm sitting up there going like, whoa. No, I ain't read that. And I'll read it again. And when he said that he put him in a cripple crossface, you know, it's a lot of stuff that went on, and Benoit was paranoid because
I don't know.
They said, you know, he was paranoid before his family. He had everything.
Exactly.
But you know what? Though? We don't take steroids, so we don't know the abuse. It's a lot.
That's true.
It's a lot. True. Like we just got. You know, we talked about the drugs in professional wrestling, and by, you know, thank God that we are clean, you know, we don't know the type of effects that you know, do to you. You know, I know people, you know, they can take a hit or something and it just do something to you.
Let me cut you off right there, because you can talk about the steroids, you can talk about the traveling, you know, the schedule, the regular schedule. We're not talking about, you know, our favorite wrestler here at Wrestle Talk with BDuB. We're not talking about Barry Horowitz. We're talking about Chris Benoit. Mm-hmm. This guy just won the World Heavyweight title. Just had a good, what, 4-month reign as World Heavyweight Champion before he dropped it to Randy Orton.
Right.
You know, it's something else there. Now, I'm not going to say that, you know, the steroids was I heard, I don't know if it's true or not, I heard that he's supposed to have took like 1 million pills in 30 days and things like that. I don't know if none of that's true. I think that's kind of disgusting if you do that. I can't imagine what your stall look like, but I ain't gonna tell you what stall is. If you don't know, you don't know. But Brian knows. But stool, stall, whatever. I got another word I can say, but
in general, you know,
I have to keep it PG.
I don't know. You like you said, I
don't think. They could have complimented it, but there was something else going on there.
I mean, you know, him and Nancy, they used to go at it, you know.
Yeah, but Nancy used to go at it with Kevin when they was married.
Bingo. That's what I was going to
say.
say.
Kevin didn't do nothing like that.
But do you think, you know,
if you say what I think you're about to say, I'm going to give you the rock bottom on this table.
What? Pressure the business?
No. Oh, okay. No, that's not it. Now, before you jump into that, I want to clear something up right now. There's an idiot on YouTube. I mean, the round table's here. This guy has to be about right here.
YouTube and Twitter.
This guy had the audacity nerve to sit there and make a video saying who killed Chris Benoit, who killed Nancy and the children, and say it was Kevin Sullivan. Because Kevin Sullivan was upset that they got murdered. I do know that Kevin Sullivan did issue death threats and things like that, but I mean, come on. This was an open and shut case, you moron. Chris Benoit did this. Who are you to go out there and blame a man that lives in Florida? Out there fishing and enjoying his retirement. Kevin Sullivan was a stand-up guy. I'm sure he probably wasn't happy about the fact that his ex-wife is now with this guy.
No, without a shadow of a doubt.
But to go off and Kevin Sullivan is in this.
I've seen that video.
He's a
mastermind.
Yeah, and he believes in all that satanic stuff, and him and his followers hop in a U-Haul truck, drive up to Georgia, and he puts young Daniel in the crossface, and then kills Nancy and waits for Chris Benoit to come along. And nobody sees this. Guy, get a clue. Really. I understand that you want to, you know,
get some views and some hits on your channel, but that just makes no sense.
Don't get me wrong, you got me to look at it, but much like your, you know, much like the round table, you're just full of crap.
At least the round table.
And man, if you watch this, please get back at me. I'll go back with you, because I feel like you putting that up there was disrespectful. You know, Chris Benoit fans such as Brian and myself and a litany of other people out there, all you're doing is tainting that memory. You know, I don't want to remember Chris Benoit for having his son in the crippled crossface, or what he did to his wife, or how he did it, killing him, leaving and coming back and killing himself. I don't want that. I want to remember him in the ring with Eddie Guerrero celebrating, or you know, some of the fonder memories. Don't taint it no more, man. Really, don't taint it no more.
I mean, you know, bottom line is, you know, regardless.
I had a knot in my chest. I had to get that.
I'm glad you did. You know, I want to touch on this subject later before we close out this show. You know, because I don't want to get too far gone into Chris Benoit and Nancy. So we're going to go into this subject later. Let's continue some of the murders.
You might not be familiar with this guy, but again, you know, to you wrestling fans of a couple years or whatever, go out and get these DVDs, man. They'll really tell you about a lot. You know, about wrestlers, and wrestlers been murdered, wrestlers suicide. There's a guy named Bruiser Brody.
Bruiser Brody. Name sounds familiar.
Bruiser Brody. Bruiser Brody. If you follow the WWF in '91, okay, there was a wrestler. They used to come out, us. They used to call him the Berserker. That's not Bruiser Brody.
Okay.
But Bruiser Brody, but the Berserker took that he mimicked the Bruiser Brody. Bruiser Brody, him and the Dulu the Butcher used to have them hard. I hate the word hardcore matches, but you know they would stab each other with forks and hit each other with 2x4s, and Bruiser Brody got stabbed in Puerto Rico by a promoter / wrestler. I heard rumors that Bruiser was supposed to buy into the company. Bruiser didn't really want to sell to nobody over there, and he wound up calling Bruiser into the show and stabbing him a couple of times. Actually, now that I think about it, a good friend of mine, someone that I know personally, Tony Atlas, he told me about it, and he said he was actually there when it happened. So,
wow.
Yeah, Bruiser Brody. Another wrestler y'all may be familiar with was the Canadian. Was it Canada? It's Canadian. Canada's strongest man, Dino Bravo.
Ooh,
he was murdered.
That's now. That one, when I read this a few weeks ago, because Dino was in the time when I was being, I was born and coming up. That was when Dino was in the WWE. And so it was like, I read this, I'm like, wow.
Now, as you tell me, I want you to tell me what you heard. How did Dino die?
Dino died, from what I hear, the mafia killed him. The reason I want to say, I don't know if it was money. I can't really remember the reason. I think I was just in shock about the way he died. And they said he knew, knew it was murder and he got shot in the face. But
Yep, the mafia killed Dino. No, I'm not talking about the New York mafia. It was some kind of mom running up there where he lived at, and he was involved in it. I think it was by blood, something like that. It was blood, but he was killed by the mob. And since we're talking about people getting shot, it brings me to my next wrestler, and that was a guy by the name of the guy who actually trained Stone Cold Steve Austin, Chris Adams. He got shot. I don't know. I like to say Chris Adams after his tenure in wrestling. And he got really heavy in alcohol, and he was actually dating a girl, and they had both been rushed to the hospital behind drugs and alcohol. He wound up surviving, but she didn't. Okay. And it just went downhill for them. And late one night, he pissed off the wrong person, and
that's crazy.
And got shot. Well, those are just a couple of names. When we threw out Dad Shaw for murders, wrestlers that was murdered. May they live on in the wrestling ring somewhere up there. And as far as Gunn would say, that's all I gotta say about that.
Yeah, we're gonna go a quick commercial break. So we'll be back at these messages. BDuB, we are on our final segment of the depths of professional wrestling. Now, as Bear indicated, this segment is of a man who was probably the most famous, perhaps, whose death, was the most famous in wrestling in the past 15 years. And it can be an argument made that it was the most famous in the past 15, 20, 30, probably ever a professional wrestler. Bear.
Well, before I get into this, like I said, you know, BDuB and myself, when we came up with the idea to talk about this, we really put a lot of emphasis, a lot of time into giving you, the wrestling public out there, something to think about, something that'll get your juices flowing and going, and we covered a lot of stuff tonight. A lot of stuff. We talked about heart attacks. We talked about heart failure, heart disease, suicide, drugs and alcohol. But we haven't touched on a performer or a wrestler dying in the ring. And to the wrestling fan, I'm sure by now you already have an idea of what I'm talking about. And the reason why we decided to make this one the last segment is because everybody, whether you look at wrestling, whether you don't look at wrestling, whether you have a negative opinion on wrestling or a positive opinion on wrestling, whether you believe it's real or fake, you knew that this happened. You knew that this stuff happened. I can only be talking about one performer, one wrestler, one entertainer, and that's the tragic accident that happened to Owen Hart in Kansas City.
Yeah, Over the Edge was the paper.
Yep. In Kansas City.
You know, it was emotional because I remember when it was aired on TV. Now, I didn't get all the pay-per-views, but when the ones that I didn't get, I always, being a fan growing up, and this is before the internet era, this is before, you know, my knowledge of, I should say my knowledge of the internet era, or my knowledge as far as going on, like such as the Wrestling Observer and stuff like that. So I always thought about, hey, wrestling pay-per-views tonight. I wonder who won. And around that time, and usually in which I would be thinking about that, I would remember my mother yelling upstairs to me saying, Owen Hart died. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it, you know. Big fan of the Hart family forever, you know. It's just, it was like, wow.
Yeah, yeah. You know, my family, we ordered a lot of the wrestling pay-per-views, and I remember that one distinctively because we didn't get that one. That kind of like broke, like if it was a record that we were running, that kind of broke it. It kind of stopped there, and it picked up again.
Okay.
So we didn't see that pay-per-view, but the Jesse the Body Ventura story was on regular TV. I think it was Channel 11. And I remember hearing the lady say, you know, you just watched the Jesse the Body Ventura story on TV, and now we just learned word that a wrestler's died in Kansas City. Now I knew of the pay-per-view,
Right.
but I didn't know who they was talking about, and I had to sit and watch the news and come to find out that it was Owen Hart. And I remember that was a big one.
Oh, yeah.
That one I was just kind of like, are you serious? You know, couldn't believe, and then the way he died.
Oh, man.
You know, you almost know if Brett was there, he wouldn't have let him do that. I know for a fact that Vince McMahon will not let someone under him, like as far as the wrestlers, he won't let them do something that he won't do himself.
Yeah.
So I know for a fact, because, you know, case in point, at WrestleMania 12 when Shawn Michaels came down, Vince McMahon did it first, and then he's like, okay, if I did it, you can do it.
Yeah.
So that's how he kind of went about that. And I kind of wondered, and I still wonder, even now thinking about it, what was he thinking about? standing up there on that scaffold, preparing to jump or be lowered, however they was going to do it, what was he thinking?
Yeah, I mean, you shout out, like I said, we talked about the book, guy who wrote the book, The Ring of Hell. Shout out to him. One thing I remember reading that was when he said that Owen didn't want to do it.
I can believe it.
You know, oh, and Brett even said into their, if you haven't checked out the Heart and Soul DVD, it's a great one. Brett said that Owen felt like, you know, he said Owen was always the most cautious person with anything that he did, and it just, like you said, Brett wouldn't let him do it, you know, and I couldn't imagine, you know, you sitting up there, you already don't want to do this, and then to find out that when I was reading, and I found out that it was kind of like the guy who said no, this isn't safe, was fired because he said, you know, we shouldn't go about it this way, because he claimed Owen had been taking too long to unfasten himself, and it was delaying time on TV. That had me thinking, you know, I mean, the man lost his life, you know, and he was the man who had planned to retire. What was he, 34, 35? Yeah. He was a man who had planned to retire early because he had always put away all his money to ensure that his, you know, he would have time with his kids, you know. And, you know, and I say that because, you know, I was sitting back, and as we were preparing for the show, I came across an article, and, you know, I was on Yahoo, and I saw one of the trending topics was Linda McMahon. And when you get on public websites, you know, any real wrestler fan, as I do I, and I'm sure as the Bear, and I'm sure as you, even, I guess you roundtable guys do the same thing. When you see a wrestler name, if you see like a top 10 in the search, or a top 10 popular subject, and you see a wrestler name on there, that's, no matter what you were going to do, you click that wrestler name 9 times out of 10. And so I come across that, you know, I had to learn that, you know, Martha Hart, the widow of Owen, said that, you know, is suing Linda because she feels like the WWE exploited his death. And, you know, and Linda's attorney only feels like, for those who don't know, Linda is running for a spot on the U.S. Senate in Connecticut. And they felt like Martha was only doing this because Linda, you know, of her, you know, career choice. And I'm sitting there like, all right, you know, I look at the amounts of money that the Hart family was, you know, owed after Owen's death. Martha was given $10 million. The kids, $1 million apiece. The parents, $3 million apiece. It's still, you know, it still doesn't amount to their loss. You know, it still doesn't amount to their loss. Especially, like you said, you know, we talked about the way that Chris Benoit died. We talked about, you know, the way that Chris Adams died. You know, regardless of whether, you know, it's different lifestyles. You talk about the way they died, but then you talk about the way that Owen Hart died. The man died in the ring to give us, the fans, a great show. You know, and it's funny because, you know, leading up to that angle, he kept denying that he was the Blue Blazer. You know, and it's like, he denied the character because it was a part of, you know, his gimmick at the time. But then, he still lived that character to the best of his ability. You know, to the fullest, you know. Probably even doing more stuff than he had did when he was the Blue Blazer at, what, WrestleMania 4? WrestleMania 4, WrestleMania 5. You know. It's just that, but like I said, you know, that death, it's set with everybody. You know, I remember the game WWF added to was even pushed back because of that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, before, this was the death where everyone No matter if you're a wrestling fan or you're not a wrestling fan. This one, you know. This one was like, you know, okay, it's, you know, it's nothing new that a wrestler died of drugs and alcohol. It's not nothing new that a wrestler died of a heart attack, not taking nothing away from them. But a man, what, 100-some feet up in the air, jumped to his death. That's why this stands out so much. This is why this was #1. This is not something that happens every day. You know, and thinking about it, thinking about what they wanted, I'm sure somewhere in Omaha or Oklahoma, wherever Sting lives, Sting has to be going, whew, I'm glad that wasn't it. Because he was doing the same thing at the same time.
And more often.
Every
Monday night.
Yeah, so it's sad, it's unfortunate. Owen, they just got rid of him in the tag belts with Jared, and he started the whole Blue Blazer thing, and then that's when this happened. But this was the one that sucked the most to me.
And
this was the one that sucked the most.
The thing was with that pay-per-view, when you go back, because like man, I didn't see the pay-per-view either. Remember my uncle had recorded it, and I believe when the tape got to me, I believe the pay-per-view had been taken over. Probably was a good thing, because for the years I just learned about 3 or 4 years ago that they didn't show the actual fall.
No, they didn't.
You know, but when you sit back and you look at Jeff Jarrett doing his promo, you know.
Which was the one on Raw?
No, the one that night, because he was getting ready to go fight the Godfather. No, Blue Blazer was supposed to fight the Godfather. Whoever Jeff Jarrett was getting ready to fight, he couldn't get himself together. He was like, "Come on, Owen, we're pulling for you, buddy. We're pulling for you." You know.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: if you were Vince McMahon, would you have continued that show?
Me being a person I am, I think I would have had to cancel it.
Yeah, I would have canceled it too.
Yeah,
you know, you got all this money. I know you're worried about, you know, the money you owe back and all this, but I mean, you know, someone you've known, I'm sure your whole life, just, you know, fell to his death.
Right.
Never mind the fact your whole locker room saw that. And now you want these guys to go out there and perform.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
And especially, you know, it's like, it wasn't like the man was hurt, you know, for his music. It wasn't like he was like Tupac, who was shot, you know, something happened to him, and waited days later. You know, he was pronounced dead, right? I mean, if I'm
yeah, he was dead upon hitting the mat.
Yeah, you know, and whether they wanted to admit it or not.
Yeah,
he
was dead hitting turn post.
Right, you know, and
I think they just had to make it look like they took him out, like he was alive at that point.
Right.
But you know,
ain't no way in the world.
And it's not no way in the world.
Yeah, so it was like, there's no way you can keep that show going.
Yeah, like I said, you know, I understand business, I understand the nature of the beast, how I got to keep rolling and everything, but that's one time it's like, you know what?
Yeah, and then you think about it taints everything that happened. You know, that taints was the Undertaker's third title match victory, because
I forgot he even had a title match of that.
Bingo. Undertaker took the belt from Stone Cold Steve Austin in the main event. But when you don't think of that.
At that pay-per-view?
That pay-per-view.
I forgot about every match on that except what happened on.
Right. You know, because
that was real.
Exactly.
Everything else is entertainment, I get that. But that was real.
Yeah, you know, Undertaker, you know, and I remember Stone Cold come out and JR was like, he's no longer the WWE champion, folks, but he gave us the toss, the beer, and he, you know, shouts out to Owen. this, that, and other, but there's no way you can continue that, especially a man of that caliber. Owen Hart was one of the best in the WWE. Whether or not he, you know, it could be an argument made that he was one of the best that never become champion, but he was still one of the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and like you said in our WrestleMania match segment, at one point he was the top heel.
For a long time.
Yeah, you know, especially throughout '94, Owen was the top heel, and if you shouldn't have continued the program regardless. But Owen Hart, you really shouldn't have continued the program because Owen had, you know, he'd given so much to the WWE.
Yeah, like I followed Owen's career. When he was wrestling down at WCW, and talented. I wish he would have got a run as the heavyweight champion, but when you got marquee names like Rock, Stone Cold, Undertaker, Owen Hart just don't fit into that equation. But I would have loved to see him win it. Yeah. Folks, when Owen Hart came into the WWE, he started his career as the Blue Blazer. He ended his career as the Blue Blazer. What more can you say?
Yeah. That's really
what more can you say?
But it just gives you one of the things that just make you think, you know. If you don't want to do it, you don't do it. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm not necessarily going to say that because this happened in the ring, but you know, it could be anything, man.
Yeah.
It could be anything. You know, you could be walking down the aisle and trip over the carpet and hit your neck on the steps.
You got a point. You have a point, but when I'm pretty sure that was something Owen probably felt passionate about. I don't want to do it. You know.
Yeah, but you know, it's kind of hard to say because when you get into that business, you get into that business with one objective: to please the audience.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the underlining decision. Like, I mean, we both agree. Yeah, he didn't want to do it.
Right.
But, you know.
But I just want to know.
Do you want to work at your job doing what you do?
It's okay. I like it.
Just go with the flow.
Some things I don't like doing, but this is what I say. I wish that, no, that ain't what I'm about to say. What I'm about to say is, you said pleasing the fans. I personally, alright, I understand he was a Blue Blazer, supposed to be a superhero.
Alright, watch it now. I feel like you're getting ready to say something. That's going to lose a fan base.
I could have cared less of him.
I knew it was God.
I mean, honestly, I could have cared less. I
felt the heat.
How many people? I want to know. And I'm not trying to be funny. I'm being real. Please, Facebook us. Find us, Wrestle Talk with BDuB. Email us, BDuB@gmail.com, or Twitter us. How many people really would have been happy? Like, seeing Owen. No, how many people wouldn't have been pleased seeing Owen? Would have rather seen Owen come down, make a safe landing, or walk out the aisle? To me, it wouldn't have made me no difference. Because I'm concerned about him wrestling in the ring. Yeah, there are certain interests you want to see. I enjoy seeing Triple H come out there and spit out the water. I enjoy seeing John Cena's different WrestleMania interests, whether it's with a group of military people or a local college marching band.
Yeah, but you don't see Triple H and Lord from nowhere.
My point.
Cena, you know?
I could care less seeing somebody come down from the rafters. That's big deal. You know, I mean, I understand they're supposed to please the fans.
You know what, though? I think and this might sound outlandish, but follow me here.
I'm following you.
Follow me here. That was during the whole WWE, WCW, Monday Night War. Now, they was losing a lot to WCW back then, and a lot of reason was that because of the NWO and Sting. Almost every Monday, you see Sting coming down from the ceiling, coming down, or he's up in the ceiling, looking down, and things like that. I almost think it was kind of done as a spoof. You know, it was kind of done not to say, oh, that's a cool interest, but to make it look like a comedy.
I never think of it.
That comedic kind of thing, you know what I'm saying? To take a shot at, you know, okay, your hero is dressed in black and white, and he's long down, and he's carrying a baseball bat between his butt cheeks. Okay, well, we'll put ours in blue and white, and he'll have feathers, and we'll fly him down too. Yeah, but it's like a spoof to how WCW's getting their ratings.
Right.
That's just my opinion. I'm not, you know, saying it's true or not. I'm not saying it's true or not, but I would love to hear your opinions on this, and all the wrestlers and what wrestlers have died from that we've talked about tonight. And this is turning into a sensitive subject. I could literally feel the heat from you when you said I could care. I could feel it, like just.
Cause you know, yo, it's just like
you just lost us about 150 fans right there.
I hope I didn't lose you, because you gotta understand, this was the first member of my favorite wrestling family. When WWE had recreated the Hart Foundation and put Owen, Bulldog, Anvil, Rhett, and Pillman together, and when they had Team Canada going against Team USA, I was a fan of Team Canada. And when you say heat, you could feel, if you watch that match, ladies and gentlemen, that place was shaking at Canadian Stampede.
But see, you know what? And on this note, we're gonna let this go. But you know what? What you just did, talking about this, is what we want y'all people to do out there, and that's to really feel emotional, to get involved in this conversation, because what we talked about when we first started this thing about the deaths and how it affects you, you could clearly see how it affected you.
Yeah.
You could clearly see how it affected you, and you felt like you was attached to that person. Yeah. It was someone you liked to look at. It was someone that if you could have had an opportunity to meet, you would.
You know, and don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, Owen was one of the type of people during my era when I liked straight baby faces, who I enjoyed loving seeing get the crap kicked out of him. Loved watching him get beat, you know. And then,
but by his brother,
by anybody, because he was a heel, you know. But I also enjoyed the era. I enjoyed the run that he and Jeff Jarrett had.
This tag champs.
Yeah, and, you know, and even to the fact.
Did you know he was supposed to, not to cut you off, did you know that he was supposed to be in an angle where they was going to kind of have those two fight or whatever?
That would have been interesting.
Yeah, he was supposed to like have sex with, wasn't that GTV thing up back then?
Yeah. That would have been interesting, you know, and it's just like, wow, you know, it's like, I enjoy a lot of times with Owen, because Owen was a heel most of the time. But when he came out as a face, I liked him. I liked Owen Hart a lot when he was the Rocket. You know, as you called him, what you call them, pajamas or jumpsuits.
Yeah.
You know, with him
high energy.
Yeah, with him and Coco Beware, who I'm still wondering how in the world he's in the Hall of Fame, but that's a different.
What?
Whatever.
Oh man.
But it was just like, all right, you know, he was one of the type of people who I love rooting against. But like you said, had I had an opportunity to meet you, Owen Hart, I would have relished that moment because you were just great.
You heard it there, folks. That's what we want you to do. We want you to be passionate about this, just as the host, BDuB, is passionate about how he feels about the tragic and to one of the guy should have been in the Hall of Fame by now.
That's what
he should have been in there before Brett.
See now you
I'm sorry.
I don't understand.
I'm about to get him going again.
No, I mean, why not?
But
Why he should have been there immediately.
We're gonna do a show, man. We're gonna do a show.
He should have been in there immediately because he's Owen Hart, first of all. A great technical wrestler, you know. He made, you know, those, you know, he helped get Stone Cold over.
He broke his neck. Of course he'd be over.
Exactly. He helped get him over. You know, him and his brother Brett had great matches. How do you make, you know you're good. Listen though, you know you're good when you can put your match on a DVD from the Action Zone. Only fans like us watch the Action Zone, 12 o'clock Sunday morning. I mean, it's 12 o'clock p.m. Sundays.
The Action Zone with my main man, Todd Pettingill. Where you at, man? Holla at me, man.
Todd is, how you doing, Todd?
Holla at me,
That's just,
man.
Wikipedia.
Get at me, man, for real. And matter of fact, you too, Sean Mooney. You get at me too, man.
Oh, Sean Mooney, where is he?
I'll tell you.
I'll
tell you after the cameras roll off.
We gotta do a segment on announcers too. But yeah, I mean, my whole thing was like, your match was on a DVD from the Action Zone. That's how great Owen Hart was. You know, him and Shawn Michaels, great feud. That's where, if the WWE they actually could have snuck in a title reign for him. It's a lot of things you could have just wanted. I mean, come on now, you give Sheamus the belt within 5 minutes of his wrestling career.
You don't like Sheamus?
I'm growing. He's growing on me.
Oh, okay.
But I'm saying, for one of the best in the business, Owen Hart, you know, the guy grew up on WWE. You know, but you got anything else you want to add?
My partner, he's exhausted. We was just, I knew that was kind of going to be hard for him because Owen Hart was one of his favorite wrestlers, and he had to save it for the end, and he got emotional about it. But again, like I said,
I'm not a nugget. I'm a black heart, damn it, soul survivor. Woo!
That's what we want y'all to do. Feel passionate.
I tried to be a nice guy. I'm the king of hearts.
You tried to be a nice guy, but you couldn't grow your beard in. But I want to give a shout out. It was already said earlier. I want to give a shout out to you guys who put them little videos and little tribute videos and all of that of wrestlers on YouTube. My hats off to y'all, man. Y'all keep doing what y'all doing. And I want to give another shout out, more special than any wrestler that we done talked about tonight. Because if it wasn't for the person I'm about to mention and give a shout out to, I would not be sitting here in this chair literally, and that's my pop, man. Thank you for ordering the pay-per-views. Thank you for giving me allowance money so I can get the Pro Wrestling Illustrateds and the WWF magazines. Thank you for my little phone, heavyweight title belt. Thank you for the hours down in the basement where we used to wrestle. Thank you for all of that, man. I love you. I miss you. I'll be up there sooner than later. We're going to watch wrestling up there. Probably one of these guys wrestling up there, something like that, man. But, anybody you want to mention, man, besides Owen Hart?
Man, you know, you give a shout out to your pops, you know. I'm going to give a shout out to my grandmother and my grandfather because without them, you know, if it wasn't for my grandfather leaving wrestling on, my mother wouldn't have known she was having a boy because I was doing, according to her, drop kicks in her stomach while she was watching Vince McMahon say, "Welcome to the World Wrestling Federation." You know, so I can remember sitting back, WrestleMania 6, getting ready to go home, watch wrestling after church afternoon Sunday service. My grandfather, I'm sitting in the front of his Cadillac, and he's sitting up there talking about, yeah, we get ready to go watch WrestleMania. One man, Hogan went like this, the Warrior went like this, and they crisscrossed. You know, it's just some of the memories. Like you said, without the people, you know, we just, you know, thankful for my grandmother. You know, WrestleMania 17 was actually the last pay-per-view we watched together. So, you know, like I said, I love y'all, miss y'all. So. Ladies and gentlemen, Go ahead.
Because you still steaming. You still steaming.
I'm fine, folks.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the host with the most, the toast of the coast, Brian Waters, we would like to thank y'all for tuning in, looking at the show. It was a very emotional show for both of us. As you can tell, rest in peace to every wrestler that sold a seat, shook a hand, did whatever you did. You know, rest in peace to you all. Rest in peace to the ones that we didn't mention. And like I said, on behalf of BDuB, I'm Bam. Until the next time, stay up, players.